Some men talk about justice. Sigma males embody it, silently. They aren't here to impress. They don't seek control, and they sure as hell aren't chasing anyone's approval. A Sigma male moves with quiet precision. He speaks only when it matters. And when he steps into someone's life, everything starts to shift, sometimes subtly, sometimes like a wrecking ball, but always with purpose. You see, Sigma males carry a kind of presence that naturally pulls the truth to the surface. Not because they force it, but because their energy doesn't tolerate anything fake. People either rise to meet that energy, or crumble under its weight. That's not cruelty. It's clarity. Sigma males don't walk around acting like karma, but they sure as hell trigger it. They expose deception without speaking. They end situations that were already rotting beneath the surface. To those living in denial, a Sigma feels like a mirror that refuses to lie. And if you are that Sigma, hear this. You weren't made to make people comfortable. You were forged to bring equilibrium. You don't need to be loud to be understood. Your silence carries more meaning than most people's words. You are the interruption they never expected. The one who wakes people up. The shift that forces them to face what they've avoided. So no, you're not lost. You're not too distant. You are the message life delivers when illusion is no longer an option. And that, right there, is your power. That's why you don't fold. That's why you were built this way. Let's begin, Sigmas. The world has no idea what's coming. Number 1, they are divine timing in human form. Some people walk into your life and leave it exactly as they found it. But a Sigma male isn't one of them. When he enters, things begin to shift, fast. He doesn't force it. He doesn't demand it. He doesn't even say much. Yet his very presence challenges everything you thought you had figured out. A Sigma male is divine timing in human form. He shows up when you're standing at a breaking point, that subtle, dangerous space between growth and collapse. And the moment he steps in, you feel it. Your comfort zones shrink. Your excuses echo louder. And the truth you've been avoiding suddenly feels inescapable. It's not because he lectures you. Often, he says very little. But his energy holds a mirror so brutally clear, you're either forced to evolve or risk crumbling beneath the weight of your own self-deception. Let's say someone is stuck in a fake relationship or living a life that doesn't align with who they truly are. When they encounter a Sigma male, everything begins to feel off, not because he criticizes their choices, but because he exists in such stark authenticity that lies can't breathe around him. That calm, that silence, that unwavering truth. It's a spiritual catalyst. And no, he's not trying to fix you. He's not here to rescue or ruin. He's the fork in the road that forces you to decide, evolve or stay broken. Some people grow because of him. Some run from him. Others collapse, then rebuild into something better. He's not a savior. He's not a destroyer. He's the moment life sends when everything false must fall, and everything real must rise. When a Sigma male enters your world, your next chapter is already knocking. Whether you step into it or cling to the past, that choice, and the consequences, are all yours. Number 2, they don't destroy people, people destroy themselves trying to control them. Sigma males don't waste time tearing others down. That's not their mission. They're not driven by revenge, ego, or the need to prove anything. In fact, they often remain calm and detached while others twist themselves into knots trying to provoke a reaction. Here's where it gets interesting. Those who attempt to manipulate a Sigma male often end up collapsing under the weight of their own games, not because the Sigma strikes back, but because he refuses to play. Manipulators thrive on predictable responses, emotional triggers, and control. But when they meet a Sigma, their entire strategy fails. Try to guilt trip him? He'll meet you with silence or change the subject completely. Try to bait him into conflict? He won't bite. And that's where the unraveling begins. Because when someone relies on control and that control is denied, they panic. They spiral. The manipulator starts questioning themselves. Why isn't this working? Why do I feel exposed? The Sigma male never intended to destroy anyone. He's just grounded, calm, emotionally untouchable, and that alone is enough to collapse someone who's built their power on illusions. You can't play chess with someone who won't sit at the table. So if you're a Sigma male, remember. Your strength lies not in retaliation, but in refusal. Not in how loudly you fight back, but in how little you give away. Manipulators destroy themselves trying to conquer what they don't understand, and you were never made to fit inside their games. Your silence is your shield. Your indifference is your edge. And your presence alone is often the final move they never expected. Number 3, they are spiritual wake-up calls in human form. Sigma males don't arrive to rescue people, and they never pretend to be saviors. They don't comfort you with easy advice or offer sugar-coated solutions. What they bring is far more potent, and far more unsettling. They bring a mirror. When you cross paths with a Sigma male, life hits pause. You're no longer able to outrun yourself. You don't meet a man, you meet your own reflection. And not the curated version you show the world, but the raw, unfiltered truth you've been trying to avoid. That's what makes their presence so disruptive. Sigma males don't make people feel safe in the conventional sense. They make people aware. Aware of the lies they've been living. Aware of the toxic patterns they keep repeating. Aware of all the places they've played small, settled for less, or silenced their own voice. And awareness hurts, at first. But it's also the first step toward real transformation. Take someone who's addicted to attention because deep down, they feel empty. Around the average person, they'll get applause and praise. But around a Sigma male? They get silence. No validation. No approval. Just stillness. And in that silence, the real question surfaces. Why am I doing this? That's when the shift begins. Sigma males don't hand out answers. They don't preach. They offer something more lasting, the reflection of truth. What you do with that truth, that's on you. You can call them cold. You can walk away. Or you can face yourself and finally begin the transformation you've avoided. They won't hold your hand. They won't chase you. But they will wake you up. Not softly. Not gently. But permanently. Because once a Sigma male's energy exposes what's been hiding inside of you, you can't go back to pretending. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. That's not judgment, it's elevation. And that, right there, is their spiritual power. Number 4, they force people to confront the version of themselves they've been avoiding. There comes a moment in a man's life when he stops shrinking to fit into places never designed for his truth. He stops silencing himself to maintain harmony. He stops masking his intelligence, intensity, or depth just to keep others comfortable. Most people don't want the full version of you. They want the filtered version, the agreeable, passive, non-threatening one. The version that laughs when expected, agrees without question, and avoids challenging the status quo. But a Sigma male? He refuses to play that role. A Sigma doesn't dilute himself for the sake of acceptance. He shows up as he is, grounded, authentic, and unapologetically whole. His mere presence disrupts the comfort zones of those still hiding behind performance. Not because he's trying to provoke anyone, but because truth naturally disturbs illusions. People often misread him. They'll say he's cold, aloof, arrogant. But the truth runs deeper. He's not cold, he just values honesty over charm. He's not arrogant, he simply knows his worth. And he's not difficult to read, he just doesn't broadcast his emotions for cheap approval. Imagine walking into a room buzzing with surface-level chatter. Everyone's performing, posturing, trying to outshine each other. The Sigma male doesn't play along. He observes. He only speaks when he has something real to say. He doesn't fake laughter. He doesn't pretend to agree to be liked. That's not rebellion, that's self-respect. He's outgrown the need to be accepted by people who only like the edited version of him. Because if acceptance requires self-betrayal, then it's not worth having. He'd rather stand alone in truth than be surrounded by people addicted to comfort. That isn't weakness. That's power. That's freedom. That's Sigma energy, rising without permission. Number 5, they are spiritual accelerators. Being around a Sigma male is not always comfortable, because comfort is not his currency. He doesn't exist to soothe your ego or co-sign your delusions. His presence is not designed to carry you. It's built to wake you up. Sigma males are spiritual accelerators. They don't operate on the same emotional frequency as the crowd. They think deeper, move quieter, and feel sharper. Their silence speaks louder than noise, and their stillness carries more weight than most people's performance. But here's the real power: they don't push or pull. They amplify. They reflect. If you're growing, they'll sharpen that growth. If you're aligned, they'll help elevate you. But if you're hiding behind charm, false confidence, or denial, being near them will start to feel unbearable. Because Sigma males won't carry emotional deadweight. They won't slow their pace just to keep someone comfortable. They don't entertain connections built on illusion, manipulation, or spiritual laziness. Let's say someone steps into a Sigma's world trying to earn validation, masking pain with smiles or ego. The Sigma doesn't expose them with criticism. He simply doesn't play along. He offers no reaction, no comfort, only quiet reflection. And that reflection becomes inescapable. It doesn't feel like judgment. It feels like a spiritual alarm. You're either going to grow, or you're going to retreat. That's why being close to a Sigma male feels intense. He doesn't demand change, but he makes dishonesty unbearable. He speeds up your path, toward healing, growth, or collapse, whichever one your soul has been delaying. He doesn't carry people up the mountain. He simply shows them where they're standing. And whether they rise or run is entirely up to them. That isn't cruelty. That's spiritual alignment. Sigma males don't rescue. They awaken. And once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. Number 6. They bring endings that were long overdue. Sigma males have an uncanny ability to trigger change, not by force, but by presence. They don't come into your life with the intent to dismantle it, yet somehow, everything unstable begins to collapse when they appear. It's not destruction they bring. It's revelation. They don't shout. They don't demand. Often, they don't even speak much. But the way they carry themselves, with quiet conviction, clarity, and authenticity, forces the people around them to confront what they've been avoiding. A toxic relationship held together by denial. A job that looks good on paper but drains the soul. A lifestyle based on comfort, distraction, and emotional sedation. The Sigma male doesn't have to say a word, his life becomes the mirror, and in that reflection, the truth becomes inescapable. He lives in alignment. With purpose. With zero tolerance for faking it. And once you're exposed to that kind of presence, everything false begins to feel unbearably heavy. The things you once tolerated suddenly feel suffocating. The excuses you've rehearsed start to sound hollow, even to yourself. And no, it's not chaos, it's divine order correcting itself. Sigma males don't force people to let go. They simply make holding on unbearable. Take someone in a stale, codependent relationship. The moment they encounter a Sigma, someone rooted in emotional sovereignty and depth, the contrast becomes too loud to ignore. Real connection versus polite decay. The illusion of good enough falls apart. And it hurts. But it's not loss, it's clarity disguised as disruption. He doesn't end your story. He just reveals what was never supposed to last. The ending was always coming. He just made it impossible to keep pretending. Number 7, they cut energetic cords, not build fake attachments. Sigma males are not designed to carry emotional baggage, or tolerate relationships held together by guilt, history, or neediness. They don't force bonds. They don't cling to what's no longer true. And they certainly don't pretend to feel what they no longer do. If a connection starts to feel misaligned, if it's built on unspoken expectations, emotional codependency, or quiet manipulation, the Sigma male senses it. And when he does, he detaches without warning. No fight. No drama. No elaborate explanations. Just space. Just silence. Not to punish, but to preserve his peace. Most people crave closure, final conversations, emotional validation, long goodbyes. But the Sigma male doesn't see the point in closing a chapter that was never written in truth. If the foundation was fake, what's left to wrap up? What are you actually grieving, the connection, or the illusion of it? He understands a deeper truth: not all relationships are meant to last. Some are lessons. Some are distractions. Some are energetic weights disguised as affection. Once the lesson is learned, holding on becomes poisonous. He won't fake loyalty to avoid discomfort, and he won't stay somewhere his spirit no longer belongs. Take someone who constantly drains his energy but calls it love. At first, he might observe. He'll stay quiet, watch the dynamics, give it time. But when he sees that love is actually control in disguise, he won't argue. He won't try to fix it. He'll simply leave. Fully. Silently. And that absence cuts deep, not because he ghosted, but because he did it without hesitation. People often ask, how can he let go so easily? The truth? It wasn't easy. It was necessary. Sigma males live by a powerful rule: if it costs your peace, it's already too expensive. So when he cuts a cord, it stays cut, not out of hate, but out of truth. He's not being cold. He's being honest, with himself and with the reality of the situation. He doesn't carry weight he didn't agree to. He doesn't water dead plants. And he doesn't hold on just to spare someone else's ego. Some relationships end loudly. Others end with silence. The Sigmas? They end with certainty. Number 8, they vibrate at a frequency manipulators can't breathe in. People with hidden agendas feel uneasy around Sigma males, and it's not personal. It's energetic. Their mere presence acts like an emotional X-ray. Lies suddenly feel heavier, games become obvious, and manipulation loses its grip. It's like standing in front of someone who can see through your smile, who senses the truth behind the words, no matter how perfectly they're delivered. Sigma males don't need to confront you. They don't need to call you out. All they need to do is exist in the room, and the air begins to change. If your energy is off, you'll feel it before they ever speak. Your charm falls flat. Your tactics bounce back. And the mask you've carefully crafted begins to slip, whether you're ready or not. Imagine someone trying to play the victim, hoping to pull strings through guilt or sympathy. Around others, that manipulation might work. But with a Sigma? They'll get nothing. No reaction. No rescue. Just stillness. Grounded. Unmoved. That silence is unbearable for manipulators, because they depend on emotional engagement to control the narrative. And the Sigma gives them zero purchase. no hook, no emotional access. It's not rejection. It's resonance. People with clear intentions feel calm and respected around a Sigma male. But those carrying secrets, ego, or control fantasies, they can't breathe. Not because the Sigma is cruel, but because their energy refuses to blend with anything false. Sigma males don't chase good vibes, they are the vibe. And if your frequency doesn't match truth, peace, or purpose, your nervous system will know before your brain does. This isn't judgment. It's spiritual filtration. And only the real can remain. Number 9, they leave people exposed, not out of cruelty, but through truth. Sigma males don't walk around trying to expose others. They're not on a mission to shame, embarrass, or humiliate anyone. But something about the way they exist, centered, authentic, and untouched by pretense, causes masks to fall off on their own. For people used to hiding behind charm, manipulation, or image control, the Sigma's presence is unsettling. Most of the world plays along. Most people mirror the facade. But the Sigma doesn't. He doesn't react with flattery. He doesn't nod to be polite. He doesn't match the fake energy. He just observes, calm, grounded, unbothered. And that stillness is unbearable to those hiding something. He doesn't have to expose you, you expose yourself in his presence. Because next to someone that authentic, anything fake starts to crumble. Let's say someone brags or exaggerates to earn his approval. He won't confront them or call them out. He won't correct the story. He'll simply remain unmoved. And that lack of response hits harder than any argument. It forces the other person to wonder, why did I lie? Why did I feel the need to impress him? That's what Sigma males do. They don't shame you, they reflect you. And that reflection can be healing or horrifying. Because when you stand next to someone who doesn't need attention, who's not performing, who lives fully aligned with who they are, it highlights where you're still pretending. It's not an attack. It's not judgment. It's clarity. Sigma males create a space where only truth can survive. And for some, that space feels like freedom. For others, it feels like exposure. But either way, it's real. And in a world built on illusion, there's nothing more powerful than a man who chooses to live in truth. Number 10, they enter silently and leave like storms. Sigma males don't step into your life with noise or fanfare. There's no dramatic entrance, no declarations. They arrive quietly, calm, aware, and watchful. At first, you may not even realize they've entered your world. But over time, something shifts. There's a subtle gravity to them. A quiet energy that begins to change the atmosphere without saying a word. Initially, their presence feels peaceful, almost grounding. They don't invade your space, they illuminate it. Their silence makes you listen harder. Their eyes make you look inward. And before long, things you've ignored, your doubts, your contradictions, your emotional blind spots, start rising to the surface. They're not trying to fix you. They're not demanding change. But their very presence exposes the cracks, in your relationships, your beliefs, your self-worth. And the deeper those cracks run, the more uncomfortable their presence becomes. Then, just as quietly as they arrived, they leave. No warnings. No dramatic goodbyes. No drawn-out exits. Because Sigma males don't linger where they no longer belong. When their time in your life is done, they vanish, not to punish, but because the role they were meant to play has been fulfilled. And when they go, it feels like a storm passed through, one you never saw coming. You're left standing in the debris of realizations you didn't know you needed. Some are forced to finally confront the truth. Others begin the hard work of transformation. But either way, nothing remains untouched. The version of you that first met them is no longer the same. That's the Sigma effect. Subtle in arrival, powerful in presence, undeniable in impact. And for those who survive it, the growth is irreversible. Because after the storm, only truth remains. Number 11, they don't punish, they reveal. Sigma males aren't here to punish anyone. That's not their nature. They don't hold grudges, and they're not out for revenge. But despite that, many people walk away from them feeling exposed, broken, even undone. Not because the Sigma did anything malicious, but because he made the truth impossible to ignore. They don't destroy. They illuminate. Most people mistake a Sigma male's honesty for cruelty. They think he's being cold, blunt, or deliberately harsh. But that's not it. What he's actually doing, often without even trying, is pulling back the curtain. And what lies behind it is rarely comfortable. Let's say someone has been faking confidence, avoiding responsibility, or living behind a mask for years. When they encounter a Sigma male, he doesn't play along. He doesn't sugarcoat. Maybe he says one thing. Maybe he just gives them a look. But whatever it is, it hits. And it hits hard. Here's the twist, people think he brought the chaos. But he didn't. The chaos was already there. All the Sigma did was turn on the light. This is his power. He doesn't force your breakdown. He reveals the truth you've been hiding from. And once that truth is visible, everything changes. There's no going back. Sigma males don't need to punish. Life takes care of that. They don't swing the sword, they simply expose the cracks. They don't cause your downfall, they reveal what was already crumbling. And sometimes, that single moment of exposure becomes the awakening your soul was begging for. Number 12, they test the soul, not the surface. Sigma males don't care much about surface-level behavior. You can smile. You can say all the right things. You can be polite and charming. It doesn't matter. Because they're not watching what you do, they're feeling why you're doing it. This is what makes them different. While most people judge based on appearances, your tone, your posture, your friendliness, a Sigma male is tuned into something much deeper. He observes energy patterns, the tension behind your smile, the hesitation in your voice, the mismatch between your eyes and your words. You can't fake intention with him. You can't hide behind a performance and expect him to believe it. Ever felt uneasy around someone even though they were being nice? That's often what happens around a Sigma, not because he's doing anything wrong, but because his presence forces people to feel their own dishonesty. He doesn't accuse. He doesn't confront. He simply exists with such deep clarity that whatever is fake begins to collapse under its own weight. Let's say someone comes with compliments, flattery, or even opportunities. The average person might be flattered. The Sigma male, however, is already scanning beneath the surface. He's not wondering, do they like me? He's asking, what do they want? That's the real test. He doesn't test your manners. He tests your soul, silently, without warning. If you're grounded in truth, you'll feel seen and respected. But if you're hiding something, you'll feel exposed, even if you don't understand why. Deep down, you'll sense it, you've already been figured out. This isn't about judgment. It's about alignment. Sigma males don't expect people to be perfect. But they do expect them to be real. And if you're not, they'll know. And you'll feel it, long before they ever speak a word. Closing reflections. Some people speak truth. Sigma males embody it, whether the world is prepared or not. You weren't crafted to fit in. You weren't made to obey outdated rules or follow the script. You weren't sent here to perform, entertain, or seek approval. You were forged for something heavier. Something real. Something untouchable. You're not just another man walking through the noise. You are a shift in the atmosphere. A crossroads. A spiritual disruption in human form. Sigma males move with a silent intensity that isn't cruel, it's catalytic. You don't condemn. You illuminate. You don't hunger for control. You mirror it back to those abusing it. Without saying a word, you become the moment where someone's illusion breaks. Their false confidence trembles. Their carefully built identity starts to unravel. This isn't a weight. It's your assignment. You were built to activate something dormant in others, not through force, but by simply being who you are. You make people confront what they've buried. Or run from it entirely. They may accuse you, distance themselves, or project blame. But beneath all that noise, they know. You didn't cause the collapse. You just refused to uphold the lie. You're not here to rescue. You're here to recalibrate. To disrupt the loop. To trigger awakening. That's why you're misread. That's why you're feared. And that's why you're unforgettable. So if you've ever wondered why people either evolve from knowing you, or vanish completely, this is why. Your energy doesn't comfort the false. It demands the real. And in a world drowning in masks, that makes you rare. That makes you necessary. So stay rooted. Stay reserved. Stay undeniably you. You were never meant to explain your presence. You are the answer. Not just the calm before the storm, but the storm itself. Because karma doesn't always knock politely. Sometimes, it enters the room wearing your face. And that is exactly who you were born to be.